Are you guys having trouble with the new reload game mode? Can't get enough dubs with your friends? Don't worry. I have 5 tips and tricks that may just help you get more wins, and a little bonus one at the end because you guys are so special, so make sure you stick around for that one. But before we get started, if you guys could make sure to like the video and comment down below, tell me what you guys think. Your feedback greatly helps me improve the quality of my videos, and also lets me know the kind of content that you guys want to see in the future. So, with that all being said, make sure you subscribe there too, because that also helps me know what you guys like. Let's get into it. The biggest problem that I see when I watch people play the new reload game mode, and what I see personally whenever I play with just random squads, is that you are not playing with your squad enough. You may take fights on your own and you may win your ones from time to time, but the problem with that is this is a squad game mode. So you are always going to have 2, 3, 4 other people there to fight against. And that causes some issues because you may win your ones, but then you have their 3 other teammates that come and back them up, and then you're dead. And then you're waiting to respawn, and you have to wait that 35 seconds or however long it is to get back into the game. And that's frustrating and annoying. So you need to make sure that you're playing with your squad, and on top of that, having clear communication. Because when your squad doesn't know what's going on, you guys are running around like a bunch of lost little children. And that is not the way that you get dubs. You may get one every blue moon, but that doesn't mean that it's the safest and most sound way to secure the victory. Having clear communication lets your teammates know what's going on with you, and it allows you to understand what's going on with the rest of your team, so that you guys know where to fight, how to position, and we'll get into positioning later, don't worry. But understanding what is going on with your squad is so very important, because that understanding will lead to better decision making, which can cause more wins in the future. Coming back to the positioning thing, having clear communication allows you guys to understand where you are being attacked from. Your squad may be fighting 2 other people, but you are off somewhere else fighting somebody else. If you guys are all split up fighting different fights, that means that there is a possibility of 4 different squads fighting your one team, and that equals your squad being eliminated faster and you placing 9th in the game. All right, and that's not a dub. That's not a dub. So you need to make sure that your communication is on point so that you can have better positioning, so that leads to getting more kills and also eliminating squads faster so you can secure your dub. Another thing that comes with playing with your squad is paying attention to the needs of the squad. So you can see people's health, you can see what shields that they need. You also need to have communication so you know if people need ammo. I was playing yesterday and I kept communicating, and I was like, hey, I need rifle ammo, and nobody was dropping it. And that was frustrating because that was the only weapon that I had and I couldn't fight back. What am I going to do? Pickaxe the other person to death when they have a shotgun? No, that's not what's going to happen. I'm not that good. So you need to understand what your squad needs in order for you guys to play together better and have better positioning and be able to eliminate squads at a faster rate. All of that is probably the most important piece of advice that I can give to you. Honestly, you could probably take that away from this video and go play games right now and get more wins because you're playing with your squad in a better, more concise manner, rather than just running around the map and just hoping for the best and getting kills, which is fun, but it's not going to lead to dubs unless you're like some god tier FNCS player, which if you're watching this video, I'm not, and you're probably not either. But that doesn't mean that you can't get wins, because, you know, playing with your squad, once again, is very important, and having that positioning and communication is probably the most important thing that you can do to get wins in Fortnite. My second tip is focus on your loadout. So not only just the weapons, but also the right utility and medications. So as you can see, Reload is a smaller, more fast-paced map. So that means that shotguns and SMGs are gonna be their most effective weapons for you to use. ARs are too, don't get me wrong. However, you're not taking as many medium range fights as you are close range, or at least in my experience and watching my friends play. I have taken more close range fights where shotguns and SMGs are effective, compared to taking the medium to longer ranges where rifles and snipers are effective as well. And then you have your fun little weapons like the rocket launcher. Come on, that's a great time. However, shotguns and SMGs need their own respective slots. And then going back to the right utility, you need movement, because being able to escape the fight that you're in where it could be dangerous and getting back to your squad is a lifesaver. I can't tell you how many times that I've been able to impulse or grapple my way out of a fight to get back to my squad, and then we all kind of gang up on the 1 or 2 people that were attacking me and we win. I mean, it is simple as that. Sometimes you do overextend, however, you can get back to your squad and then you can fight better being a unit rather than just being alone and fighting 2-3 other people. And then porta bunkers are also super effective, because if you're playing no builds like I do, then you don't have any sort of like on the go defense. You really don't have much. So being able to throw down that porta bunker and then having somewhere to fight on that isn't going to allow you to be open and visible to a bunch of other teams is super effective and important to carry. So I always carry that and impulses around with me, at least depending on what weapons I have at the time. The other thing that's important to carry on you are meds, and you can split this up however you want between your squad, whether some person carries whites and the other person carries shields or whatever, however you want to split it up. But you need to make sure that you have both of those things on hand, because after you get out of a fight, you know, if you've been playing this game mode, that it's kind of third party central. It feels a lot like playing Apex again, but being able to med up after a fight instead of going into another one being already low, that makes the entire difference. Because if you have no medication, then you are probably going to lose the next fight that you take because you just don't have as much health as the next person. So it's very important that you guys split up some meds between your squad, because you can designate one slot in your inventory to carrying like minis or big shields or splashes, whatever you want, and then another person can carry bandages or med kits, something like that, because that is important, and then they can just distribute it to wherever and whichever person needs it in your squad. Tip number 3, and this is also pretty important, and I'm sure that you guys will figure it out more by playing, and this really comes with just playing the game more, is knowing the map. Understanding the POIs on the map and where things spawn and the best places to land is very important, because of the fact that you don't want to get eliminated off the bat. And you don't want to be running around looking for weapons when you can't find a chest. Now, admittedly, there are a lot of chests on the map, but if a person gets there before you because they already know where that chest is, then you're at a disadvantage. So play the game and understand the POIs, and also understand where the vending machines are, because the vending machines are important. Because if you need meds after a fight and you can't open chests, or all the chests in the area have been opened and nobody's leaving anything behind, vending machines are a lifesaver, because not only can you just immediately heal your white health, but you can buy shields and stuff like that from those. Sometimes they're out of stock, but when you get lucky, you can buy 4 big pots at a time. That's 200 shields. So that's 100 for you and another 100 for your teammate, and that makes a world of difference when it comes to taking fights. And like I said earlier, knowing the chest spawns, because you don't want to be left running around like a chicken with its head cut off when you don't have a weapon. You just got your pickaxe out and you're hoping for the best, and you're hoping that maybe you can find some good ground loot, but somebody just pulled a blue pump out of the fucking chest next to you and you're done for. So knowing the chest spawns in buildings is very important, because that allows you to loot faster and more effectively. The other thing is understanding how high ground works. So if you're playing, like let's say in Tilted for instance, you know that Tilted has some mountains covering the east and west sides of Tilted. So if you're playing on those and shooting into the city, you're more likely to have effective shots rather than just taking fights in the city, on the ground, in the streets, where it's even playing field. You can hide around the mountains and be able to take clear and concise shots that are more effective, disrupting enemy fights, kind of third partying those fights a little bit, rather than if you're just getting in there into the mix alone and when you don't have your squad. So understanding high ground is very important, because it will really change the trajectory of a fight. I mean, come on. You've seen Star Wars.
It's over, Anakin! I have the high ground!
It proves true even in Fortnite. My next biggest tip is Gamesense. Now this one really comes with just playing the game and understanding how the flow of the game works, because Reload is very different from the normal battle royale. You can see that it plays a lot faster. It's squads only, so you're having to rely on other people. You cannot just take out the entire lobby alone unless you are fucking an FNCS god, or you're, you know, cheating, which you better not be. If you're watching this video and you're cheating, I'm reporting you to Epic. But Gamesense comes back to playing with your squad. A lot of these revolve around playing with your squad, which is why I said that that is the most important takeaway from this entire video. But knowing when to push is probably the most important aspect of Gamesense, because if you are taking fights that you are not able to take, you're going to lose. Sometimes you can get lucky and sometimes people make mistakes, but more than likely, if you push at the wrong time, you're going to be fighting one squad and then another squad and then another squad and then another squad, and then you're dead. game over. You died, back to the lobby, squad's eliminated, and that's frustrating. So knowing when to push fights, especially knowing when to third party, because you can tell when another team is getting low by the way that they defense up, the way that they're medding, and the way that the other squad is pushing them. So you can kind of interject into there. And even knowing when to push single players, because you have to be aware of where they are heading, which goes back to knowing the map. Another thing, if you are playing alone, like if you are just playing some rando squads, then you're not really going to have communication. So you need to make sure that you are not overextending into fights that are going to put your squad into detriment and cause them to lose the game. So do not overextend on the fights, and that means don't chase players when you don't have to. Because a lot of the time people are retreating from a fight to go get back to their squad, because it's a safety net for people, and that's a good safety net to have, because when you're chasing a person and you have them low and you're like, all right, I've got you now, and then 3 other motherfuckers pull up and they're like, well, sorry about that, and then you're dead, just gone, obliterated. It wasn't even a question. So don't overextend and don't chase people that are low, because you can let them get back and then you can go back to your squad where you can play better and you guys can have more coordination in your fight, rather than just taking that alone fight and taking the gamble that they're not running back to their other squad. Tip number 5, last but not least, is picking a good spot to land. This might be just as important as the other 4 tips that I've given you before this one, because knowing where you're going to land at the start of the game will pretty much determine the outcome of your game in general. Because if you are just landing it tilted every time and you're hot dropping, then that's going to probably not reflect as good for you as it will if you are picking a little bit of a safer spot to land that's going to allow you to loot up and get the things that you need, get the shotgun, get those SMGs, get the AR, get your meds, and get your utility. You are going to be better geared for taking fights in the long run, rather than just getting short-term kills and then possibly just getting eliminated off the bat. Because everybody and their goddamn grandmother drops tilted, you are more than likely going to get better loot if you drop somewhere else. Very important. And also knowing the limits of your squad, because not everybody is capable of taking early game fights. Some people cannot do that. That's just a fact. So knowing the limits of your squad, understanding that your squad is only as good as the weakest link, because if you have somebody that's dying off the bat every single time, they are not having the opportunity to get geared up like they need to be, because once again, they're dying. And having an entire squad geared up to take fights is much more important than getting your early game eliminations. And this also goes into being aware of what areas consist of the best loot for an entire squad. I have been marking places on the map that my squad should land, and I'm like, yeah, that's good, we can land here, we can get the good loot that we need, and then we can go fight. However, they want to land at some rinky-dink shack that has 1 chest. What is the point? Why are we going to land there? Why would we land there in general? The entire area maybe consists of 3-4 chests that you're wanting to land, and then we have to push into one of the POIs where people are getting good loot. We're gonna lose. We aren't gonna be able to take those fights as easily as if we would just land at a good spot that consists of many chests, good loot, maybe a vending machine if we're lucky to get those meds early game, compared to just landing, getting your chests, and then hopefully being able to take fights and hoping that the person that you're gonna sneak up on or that you're gonna attack is worse than you. So overall, understanding the limitations of your squad and what they can and cannot do early game is important, and being geared for the long run and the end game is going to greatly improve your chances of getting the victory. My last and final tip for you guys, this is the special one, this is your bonus tip, is to watch gameplay and play the game. Now that may seem like a little cliche, like yeah, you gotta play the game to be good, you gotta put in the hours to get the results, but it's true. And watching gameplay is one way that can really help you, because that way you can understand when people are making callouts what they mean. If you don't know what somebody is saying, when they say something like he's at red, that might mean a house, that might mean that he's low. You never know, because you don't know what they're talking about. So understanding what those callouts mean by watching other people play is going to be important, and that's going to help you in the long run for understanding your team a bit better. And that goes back to playing with your squad and understanding those clear comms. And then of course, playing the game. Getting a feel for it, understanding how the game mechanics work is going to go a long way in improving your success and getting victories. Because at the end of the day, you can take all the advice that I give you, but if you can't actually put that into practice and you don't understand what I'm trying to say and how I'm trying to say it, it doesn't matter. If you don't understand the game, you're not going to win. With that being said, that is my 5 tips and tricks and my 1 bonus tip. So I guess 6 tips and tricks, kind of 5.5 for getting wins in the new Reload game mode. Like I said, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think. Also, I'm open to feedback about what you guys think about these tips and tricks, whether they're bad, whether they're good. This helps me improve. This is just from personal experience, and I want to make better content for you guys. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. It greatly helps me and pushes my content out to more people so that I can help more people get more wins. Thank you guys. I love you all. Bye.